Former President Donald Trump ramping up his inflammatory rhetoric.
We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin.
Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments. Like, he's literally using Nazi language now, isn't he? So that's nice. That's, you know, that's a development. Like, every day, every week, this guy escalates. Just a psychopath escalating in front of our very eyes. But like, everybody's been warning for years that Donald Trump is basically Hitler, haven't they? He was, he was referring to Mexicans, referring to foreigners as murderers and rapists. He was disparaging the press. The famous stand-up comedian Louis C.K., he said this in 2016. So this is before Trump actually became president and all of the craziness started. He said this. He said, "Please stop it with voting for Trump. It was funny for a little while, but the guy is basically Hitler." And since then, I mean, he hasn't got saner, has he? He hasn't got less dictatory since 2016. In those 8 years, he's tried to upend his own democracy. He stood back while his MAGA nut jobs treated the Capitol building like a cosplay adventure playground. Do you remember that? I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what are they doing? He's calling everyone vermin now. And now, like, the latest thing is he's threatening to put immigrants in detention camps.
Trump plans to round up undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. and place them in detention camps. He'd also re-implement his so-called Muslim ban, use Title 42 to turn away asylum seekers, speed up mass deportations.
I mean, it's not un-Hitlery, is it?
Detention camps.
Just be real with me. That's not like Hitler.
Detention camps.
Not Hitler-esque. You know, Hitler didn't just start off murdering 6 million Jews. He didn't wake up on some gloomy Monday having failed to sell a painting again at the weekend art fair. Woke up on Monday morning depressed and hungover. You know, I will never be a painter at this rate. It's time to kill the Jews about it. Like, for all the talk of, you know, snowflake hysteria, whenever people on the left clutch their pearls and point at a concerning thing, you know, and then people on the right go like, oh, you're being hysterical. But can we at least agree that this is, you know, it's in the neighborhood of Hitler now, isn't it? Can we just agree that? I mean, Hitler rounded his scapegoats up, right, and stuffed them in concentration camps. Trump is saying he's going to round his scapegoats up and put them in detention camps. I mean, just call them what they are, Trump, all right? Like, they're concentration camps too. You round up your immigrants, you stuff them in a camp, and then you work out what to do with them. They're going to take these detention camps, and they're going to vastly expand the network of them. And they cite Trump's advisor, it's a guy called Stephen Miller, and they say this expanded network would facilitate the deportation of millions of undocumented immigrants, including long-time residents with deep ties to the communities. In Trump's America, or Trump 2.0's America, you're going to have a presidentially sanctioned force rounding up the foreigners, some of who have built lives and families, deep ties to the communities, it says. You're going to round all of those up and stuff them in a vastly expanded network of detention camps with a view to chucking them out of the country. That's what we're talking about here. It says in the article here, you'd have detention of people seeking asylum, which would be subject to shocking new limits. Trump would reinstate his ban on migrants from majority Muslim countries, invoke new legal authorities to pursue mass expulsions, and enlist the military to help them carry it out. Because Hitler didn't just start off murdering 6 million Jews, you know? Like, this is the thing that's, like, always lost on the flag f***s, isn't it? They vaguely learned, briefly, in school, decades ago, about what happened in Europe, didn't they? They sort of have a passing familiarity with what took place. And they banked that information, but like with purely face value, like symbolism heavy levels of intellect. Like, they don't think back to Germany and 6 million Jews and think of the contributing factors and the political machinations that fermented the landscape to allow all of that to take place. They don't trouble themselves thinking about all of that. That's critical thinking. That's factoring things in. All they think about is, oh, yeah, no, Hitler was a baddie, wasn't he? He was just bad, just inexplicably bad, yeah. And he waved this flag over there. And as long as nobody's speaking German or waving that specific flag here, well, then they can't possibly be a Nazi or a fascist, can they? Like it's almost childlike. Just a very base level, childlike, symbolism-heavy understanding or comprehension of what took place then and what is taking place now. I mean, it's sort of, ironically, the sort of stupidity that gets people like me thinking, well, maybe we need to round all of these people up and, lock them in a re-education camp for a couple of years. You can come out when you're less stupid, when you've learned some shit. People emerge from this camp like 3 years later, smiling with a diploma. Like, you think your mum and dad were proud of you when you got your GCSEs? Just wait till Gary from Dagenham's parents welcome him outside the gates to Camp Cretin and he's no longer a moron. And he's like, oh no, I get it now. I get it. Like, he was exploiting people's fears and prejudices to get more power and enrich himself. I understand. And his parents are like, oh, we're so proud of you, son. We're so proud, Gary.